My name is Sansara Taylor. I work with the World Can't Wait Drive Out the Bush regime. I'm one of the initiators. Right now I'm on the advisory board. Around July last year, 2005, a bunch of us were talking who'd been a part of protesting the war and organizing against some of the different measures associated with the Bush administration. And we realized that we are in a state of emergency, that we can't wait for Bush to continue out his term, that just protesting him and opposing his policies is not sufficient. He needs to be driven from office. We wrote a call, the Call for the World Can't Wait, and it lists your government is torturing people, it's waging an unjust war on the basis of outrageous lies in Iraq, it's rounding up immigrants, it's moving each day closer to a theocracy, your government is denying women their reproductive health, abortion rights, birth control here and around the world, the government is suppressing science. We walked through this and said, look, all of this, people see it and they think of Hitler, they're right to do so. The Bush regime is setting out to remake the world very radically, very quickly, in a fascist way, and it'll last for generations. Look, it's on us. It's going to take a movement of resistance from the bottom up, millions of people, starting with tens of thousands, organizing out in the streets, protesting, until we force Bush to step down, until we create a political situation where the program that the Bush administration is implementing is repudiated and the direction is reversed. We printed up this statement, about 200,000 copies of it, and we took them to the Live 8 concert in Philadelphia that had 1 million people there, and we handed them out, stacks of them, and we met people. This is how we started. Then we started doing this. We put up a little rudimentary, really rudimentary website, met people around the country, and just really, had a mission to hand out 1 million copies of this statement all across the country. And through doing that, we met people who felt the way we did, and from there we began. We'd like to send a message to the people of the world that the people in this country do not agree with what this government is doing in our names, that we don't stand with the torture that's being conducted all across the, in secret prison camps all over the world. We don't agree with the war in Iraq, the build-up for a war on Iran. Bush can't claim to speak for the American people anymore. He can't get up there and look legitimate and claim legitimacy. And actually, some of the infighting that we've even started to see around the immigrant bill, where Sensenbrenner didn't get to pass his bill the way he wanted. We had these massive protests, and all of a sudden, they weren't able to pass it in the same speed and quickness. We want that only related to the entire Bush program, and to such a degree that Bush himself is forced out of office. Right now we're aiming for October 5th to be a national day that makes history in this country and for the planet, where in cities and towns all over the country there'll be outpourings of resistance so that it cannot be denied, that people all over this country are saying no to the whole Bush program and to the whole Bush regime. We want to make a leap in this fall and have October 5th be a day that everybody takes notice and that changes the terms of discussion and debate in society, where everybody says, oh, there's a lot of people in this country who actually are saying they're going to drive out the president and his administration, and they have to relate to that. All summer long, we're going to be tabling and touring with some of the concert summer tours. We're going to be doing a youth organizing activist training at the end of the summer that people come and get, really get armed with the facts about the theocracy, about what's happening around women's abortion rights and birth control, which is also in danger, about the torture. We're going to have some people who are experts on these things come in and speak to the students, including people who used to work for the Bush administration. We're also involving artists and prominent people. We've got folks like Harry Belafonte and Sean Penn, Mark Ruffalo, Susan Sarandon have been involved in this effort. We have prominent intellectuals, Louis Lapham, Niles Eldredge, the premier paleontologist and evolutionary biologist in the country, is going to do a big forum with World Can't Wait up at Columbia University. So we're trying to build a lot of momentum all summer long and then make this big breakthrough on October 5th. What we did on November 2nd, on the anniversary of Bush's election, we held protests in probably 70 cities or so, and walkouts in over 200 high schools and colleges where people, this was the launch of this movement, and we marched through the streets chanting for people, join us, the world can't wait, drive out the Bush regime. And it was like, we made it on the local news in all these different cities, and there were these protests. It was our kickoff. And since then, we did a lot of organizing to also reject and drown out Bush's State of the Union address, which was on January 31st. We mobilized and did protests again, and then we went to D.C. the following Saturday, February 4th, to take it to D.C. and actually make the demand that Bush step down, and we marched past the White House in the pouring rain. It was like one of the most exciting marches that most of us had ever been on. Even people who protested a lot because we went right to the seat of power where Bush is. But then we've also done a lot of work to educate people about what's happening, because the media covers a lot of it up and it trains people to forget. Like, one of the things that's very heavy, everybody watched what happened in New Orleans during Katrina. This is another one of the crimes of the Bush administration. And it's interesting how quickly people forget what they saw, because he didn't just take too long to respond. This was not negligence or incompetence. What actually happened is you have 100,000 black people stranded on rooftops for 5 days without food or water. They don't just not send in aid. They took troops off of rescue missions and sent them in with orders to shoot to kill at people who were looting, who were getting water and trying to help each other off rooftops and save each other. And already, like, the media starts to tell the milder and milder version of the story as time goes on. They're forgetting what they saw, and also there's a lot of things that they never have been told. So we've been going out and educating people too, so that people are armed with the information about what's happening. A lot of people actually did protest. I mean, we had millions of people in this country protest the war. We had 1 million people protest for abortion rights 2 years ago in DC for the March for Women's Lives. A lot of people have been out there, and then they felt like it didn't make any difference. So this is one of the things that we're going up against, is actually going and arguing with people. It did matter to protest. It will matter to protest. How will protest make a difference this time? First of all, I think the protests that have happened have made a difference. Right now, we didn't stop the war in Iraq through the protests. And that's a harsh reality that we have, that actually the Iraqi people most are confronted by, and it's a painful reality. But at the same time, a lot was accomplished, including the fact that I don't think that most people in this country would know that the WMDs never existed, that that was a lie. Those were things that were, never reported until you had a lot of people out there demanding that this war was wrong, and then it started to change the way the media was reporting on it. People wouldn't have known that there was no links to Al-Qaeda. There's a lot of the fact that Bush is so unpopular right now, the fact that the war is so unpopular right now, has everything to do with the fact that there were so many people out there protesting, calling it out, and making people think twice about something that they had been supporting otherwise. So we haven't won yet, but the basis to win, including in the huge public sentiment against this administration, has everything to do with it's there because of the protests that people waged. Print out the copy of the Call for the World Can't Wait from our website. Make 100 copies, 1,000 copies, however many you think you can get out. Then go somewhere public and hand them out and talk to people. Bring a clipboard. Sign people up. Get their email addresses and their phone numbers. Then you set a meeting. You call your friends, you call your family, you call people, maybe you have professors or teachers, maybe you have coworkers, anybody you think that you've met before who might be interested. You go and find them and you get them together and you guys have dinner and you read the call together and you talk about what's in it. All the things that your government is doing and all that's required of us. And then you set a date, a time and place for October 5th where you're going to hold your protest. Set it now, set it early, and you make flyers of that. You start to promote that around the city or the school that you're at. You should call our national office chapter coordinators who will help you do video showings and educate people that you're working with. And then we're going to be, then you're going to have to get creative, and we're going to work with you to do so. I think that we actually, this movement and what we're fighting for does represent the interests of the majority in this country and the majority on this planet. But the challenge is that it's not enough to just think that and to believe it. You actually have to act on it. And I think this is the thing. I think in a generation, kids, grandkids, they're going to ask you, what did you do when your government was torturing people? What did you do when they rounded up 23,000 South Asian, Muslim, and Arab immigrants and deported them? What did you do when your government shot at 100,000 black people who were stranded on a rooftop after leaving them for 5 days without food or water? What did you do? And it's not going to be good enough to say, oh, I privately disapproved. And it's not going to be good enough to say, oh, I didn't vote for him. You're actually going to have to be able to say that we came together, people from different perspectives all over the country, people who never thought about themselves as activists before, and we moved heaven and earth to do everything it took and to struggle with our friends and struggle with other people and say, you can't sit back and do nothing right now. This is not a time to be one of those people who just lets it all happen. History will judge us sharply, and we have to act. And this is about, all of us saying, we're going to stop this criminal regime from taking over the future.